second. What happens in this competitive culture of NGOs is that there are projects that lend themselves to emotional support of donors, and they become kind of trendy. And so the NGOs tend to do demonstrations of project completion, which are ultimately left incomplete, considered in the long term a failure, which they would be, in an effort to move on to whatever is the most financeable next step. And that comes out of that comes really out of the way in which those two cultures of emergency relief and sustainable development have not found a way to recognize their parallel course.
Yeah, let me explain that the place in the world where these problems were reconciled best, in my opinion, and it's somewhat self-serving for me to say it, I'll explain why, was in Aceh in Indonesia after the tsunami. Because when the UN asked me to work there for a couple of years and coordinate it, I said, look, our goal should be to work our way out of a job. I mean, why does he have a school for girls? Because if he educates them properly, they don't need to be dependent on him for the rest of their lives, and they can have their own families, they can help their own communities. So if you do any kind of NGO work that's not a disaster, you should be dedicated to making yourselves irrelevant to the day-to-day sustainability of the people you're supporting. There is no other rational way. So, for the first time ever, when in a large-scale disaster in Indonesia, we developed basically an online tracking system where we put the government donations of the donor countries, the World Bank and all those other people, everybody was giving money, with the private NGO spending. We got all the major NGOs to agree to sign up, and everything had to be approved according to the economic plan that the Indonesians had developed. And then we did it together so that it wasn't like they were establishing a beachhead among these poor people and then they could keep helping them forever. And I have to say that it was easier in Indonesia because the president of Indonesia put a magnificent man named Pak Kantoro in charge of it, and it was easier because it was one small province of a very vast country. This was the capital of Haiti. It was 30% of the population, 2/3 of the GDP crushed in a day. It's harder, but it's the same thing. And so this is the first time we've ever gotten, like a lot of the NGOs who agree to put up on you can go down and check our website now and you can see at least how the NGOs are spending their money, that every expenditure of any amount by most of the NGOs is approved by the commission. The Haiti Commission is now half Haitian and half donors. They all work it together. Whether we'll succeed or not, I have no earthly idea. But what he's telling you is true. And the Haitians have been abused and neglected, but they've also been patronized. As this, oh, this is so much poorer than any other part of our hemisphere. It's like we'll be able to pour our hearts out there for life. That's not what they need. They need for you to give them the support to stand on their own 2 feet, make their own decisions, whether you like it or not, raise their kids, and build a future. That is what we are, and at least that's what he and I are trying to do. And